Well, the main themes of Outrage are, the lead character at one point says, have you ever thought about what we're doing to ourselves and what we are becoming? And in the moment, it's funny because he's talking to his sister-in-law who's going ape shit on Facebook. She's annihilated. She's in this fight with a guy on Facebook about this police shooting and this trial and this verdict. And she's going nuts. And I've written hilarious dialogue, and she's going on and on and on and on with the most unbelievable curse words and agitation about this guy she wants to kill on Facebook. And at some point she goes completely nuts. And the lead guy says that line, have you ever thought about what we're doing to ourselves, what we've become? And I guess that's really the theme of the play, that as a guy in my 50s coming up, and it used to be hate the politician, but not the voter. Hate the politician, but not your friend who voted for him. That was an ethic that just didn't even need to be talked about. Then Trump came along in 2016 and broke everything. Just broke it. And it became hate the politician and the voter and your friend and your family, and F them. And if they don't get on board, F them even more. Cancel, done, not coming over for Thanksgiving, no more coffee, canceled on Facebook, no more friends. And this shift happened. And I'm not saying it was because of Trump, but I think it's because of how the culture has moved with social media. And this goes back over 15 years since the iPhone. So I think it's part of a bigger movement that Trump was just a symptom of. He was just the manifestation of other things that have been building for a long time. So this is not a play about Donald Trump in any way. He's just part of it in terms of he was a lightning rod. He's an identifiable lightning rod around which you can build some fun dialogue and some fun situations. So that is the basic meaning of the play: is what have we done and what are we doing to ourselves and what have we become in giving into this hatred, giving into this passion about politics that is often dictated by others, serving others' goals and means through propaganda or whatever you want to look at it. I've come to believe that the red-blue game of politics being played in this country is just theater. It's just a little fantasy story laid out for all of us to play. The real game is something much more serious, much darker, and encompasses all of red and blue who are actually in power and control the money and control the weapons. So later on in the play, the lead guy says, he's in a fight with someone, and the guy says, like, this man, this politician is the worst human being on the planet. And the lead guy says, yeah, I just don't understand why that's more important than plays, parties, scenes from class, weddings, a million drinks, in a million places, the bricks of this friendship. Why is it that means nothing next to my having voted for someone that you hate? And that's kind of one of the major themes of the play. Like, what are we doing here? What are we doing? Because politicians come and go, like, real fast. Friendships should stay, and there should be understanding, and there should be tolerance. And we're in a very, very dangerous and intolerant moment, not just on politics. COVID also exacerbated all of this in many ways. You've got these weird, I'm sure many people are sort of putting together Venn diagrams of their friendships, like, well, on politics, we disagree, but we can converse. On COVID, we were in agreement about lockdowns, but not about masks. But yes, on vaccines. And other people are like, well, I actually hated COVID from the start, and my friend does too. We totally disagree about the lockdowns and how unnecessary that was, but I think the vaccines are full of shit, and he's taken 7. So we can't talk about that. Everyone has these weird confluences, like, what can we talk about? What can we talk about? We disagree, but we can talk. We agree. Sometimes you agree, but you still can't. It's bizarre. It's just, and you start to wonder whether it's a part of a big design, which is not what I'm writing about, but it's something you wonder as a person who's kind of grown up in a different, I felt like the country I grew up in was just much different than what it has been over the last 3 or 4 years. So that's essentially what I'm writing about. What I would want the audience to get out of my play, I took great pains, and I went through a lot of drafts, and I went through a lot of writing, and I went through a lot of drinking wine and walking my dog to make sure that everyone who expresses an opinion in this play, to the best of my ability, is expressing it with integrity. So the people that my lead character, who's kind of the version of me, like an avatar of me in a way, the people he comes up against, I wanted to make sure that those fights were authentic, and that anyone watching the play from either side of that fight would say, yes, my point of view is being represented here, it's being represented honestly. So I really took pains to make sure that that happened. So what I would love in terms of what the audience experiences is some semblance of what we've all gone through, arranged, obviously, from my point of view, the events arranged around my story, but that are charging up, lighting up, and provoking thought about what we've done to ourselves and what we continue to do. And maybe some people who have been a little too quick on the trigger to cancel friends and family over opinions that used to be just things you could discuss and have a dialogue about, that maybe they walk out and reconsider whether that's actually the best way to go. And what are the real ramifications of cancellation when people are too quick to give into their passion and too slow to stand up for what's important on a human level. As a friend, like, what does it mean to be a friend? Does a friend give another friend a lecture about politics and morality? Or does a friend simply show up when the shit hits the fan, if I can say the S word? When the shit hits the fan, a friend shows up with a gun, it's in the play, with a gun, some cash, a baseball bat, like, let's go, ready to go, ready to defend. The lectures can come later. The, hey, what were you thinking, can come later. But the main reason you're a friend is that you're there when the blank hits the fan. And I think we can all think about that a bit more. Are we really there? Or are we here? Anything you need. You know what I mean? And we've all experienced it when we're going through something, we're sick, some tragedy, and someone says, like, anything you need. It's a nice thing to say. They're saying it, and then there's the people who show up with groceries. There's the people who show up at your door and say, hey, here's cash. I know you need it. Here it is. Accept it. See you later. Like, there's a difference there. And I guess I'm trying to advocate for a certain kind of relationship between people, and not one that's just conducted on social media and serving the moral virtue and the tribal membership, because LA is kind of a tribal city. And I think people are giving up a lot to be a part of some of these tribes. So that's kind of what I'm writing. My name is Alan Barton. I am the writer and director of a new play called OUTRAGE. And I implore anyone to come out and hear a new conversation about what's going on in this world. It's not a conversation that you have heard in the theater. I can almost guarantee it. You haven't heard it on TV. Not the way we're talking about it down there with this show. Then I'd love to see you there.